Let's begin with breaking news that's coming in right now from Haryana. Images from parts of Gurugram now, from Sector 66, that show arson scenes of vandalism that are being reported in several parts of the city as well. These are just kilometers away from the national capital, mind you, that we're seeing these kind of images of shops being vandalized by miscreants. Unfortunately, the reports of violence continues in several parts of Gurugram as well as in Nu, and that's why Section 144 prohibitory orders, mobile internet has been snapped in several of these districts. These are images that we're getting to you from just a few moments ago from Sector 66 of Gurugram. Look at those images on your screens of the massive arson that's been reported as thick plumes of smoke cover the entire area. For people who live in these parts of Gurugram, it's an absolute nightmare. Many of them aren't stepping out as there have been multiple incidents, multiple reports of violence that's been reported in these parts of Gurugram. Again, let me highlight for you, this is in the national capital region, close to Delhi, that you're seeing these scenes of vandalism, of miscreants going rogue. All of it kicking off from July 31st, when you had communal clashes breaking out in parts of Nu, in parts of Sona and Faridabad. And that's followed up by, in fact, the fire spreading to several other parts of Haryana, including Gurugram. Schools, colleges have been shut. Shops that dared to open amid the violence, amid the tension, are being vandalized and targeted in this manner. Let's take this across now to Milind Sharma. She's joining us live from Gurugram, from the spot where we've seen some of that violence breaking out. Milind, good evening. Can you tell us what's the situation currently on ground?
Well, Akshita, I'd like to show you that arson and fires were just burning in this particular area in Gurugram's Sector 66. This is also an area called Badshahpur, which is not very far from the Fortune 500 offices of the Millennium City. And of course, whatever instances one is getting in these sporadic areas where mob violence is being seen, the police has not been found in action. But let me show you whatever remains of this particular shop that has been burned. There was a makeshift hotel over here owned by one particular community that has now been charred to the ground, and everything has been ransacked. What we've told is that the people who belong to this community had actually fled from the scene last night itself, and whatever remained here was abandoned. But a mob of a lot of people entered today, just an hour back, and burnt everything to the ground, and nothing has been left behind. There is a this, can you see this refrigerator over here, a stove oven over there? So this was something called as a dhaba that was at this part, and on the other side there was also a kirana shop, and nothing of that remains. Just to show you in what location I am right now, all around me, if Ankit will just pan the camera and show you, this is Ansal Essentia area. These are big high-rise residential societies just across the road. If Ankit will pan towards his right, these are posh societies and houses, Bestech, Parkview, Spa Next, big societies where people stay. And this is the kind of mob violence that is being witnessed right in the heart of residential areas of Gurugram, which is absolutely scary. A lot of office goers, a lot of MNC goers have also been either asked to work from home. So it's not just the schools and colleges, but even office goers are now being told
it's not
to
just
stay
the rural
back
pockets.
and work from.
Going by your report, Milind, it's not just the rural pockets. You see, amid all of those high rises, thick plumes of smoke coming out. There are incidents of arson, of vandalism, of shops which dared to be open amid the tension being targeted immediately by miscreants. I want to bring in Shreya Chatterjee, who's joining us live from Nu, which was the epicenter of the violence, of the clashes yesterday. What's the situation where you are, Shreya? Have things calmed down, or are they still on edge?
Well, Well, fortunately, Akshita, there hasn't been any fresh reports of violence from Noo and the outskirts of it. There is area domination activity that's been carried on by the police on the ground. We have reports of 11 FIRs that's been registered, and right now the police is at the first trying to ensure that all the remains of the riot is right now removed from the area. However, when we talk about the tension, it is still there. That is the reason curfew and Section 144 remains imposed. People are not happy with the way the Haryana police dealt the entire incident. Remember, there was the possibility of communal tension that was there on the social media bickering that was going on between Monu Manesar and the people from Mewat via YouTube videos and subsequently other medium. The intel inputs that completely went ignored by the Haryana police. That's exactly why we saw the kind of violence that actually erupted in Noo, which actually poured over then to Sona and now to Gurugram. So a lot of answering on the part of Haryana police. Why did they ignore the intel reports? We'll have to wait and watch what their answer is. But people on both sides are not happy with the way Haryana police dealt the entire situation.
And, you know, rightfully questions will be asked of how the administration has dealt with this, particularly because you've had the Haryana government, and Milind, if I can bring you in on this as well, the Haryana government has said very clearly that this, in some circumstance, in some cases, was pre-planned violence. Then there will be questions of why they weren't better prepared for this kind of a scenario, for this kind of clashes.
Well, absolutely, Akshita. The fact that whatever has been happening in Mewat and Noo has actually had a spillover in Gurugram, and that too, let me tell you, in the selected pockets and selected areas only, because largely there are flash mobs that are congregating at one point and leading to this particular image that you see in front of you of charred shops, charred areas. Let me tell you that at least in Gurugram, the fortunate part is that the violence has not yet penetrated inside the homes and the establishments and areas where people stay for now. But what will happen after this, we are unaware of that. Of course, the DC Gurugram, the police administration has been trying to mediate between the two communities that are going back and forth with this kind of violence. But for how long will the citizens have to face this kind of uncertainty is the real question. And meanwhile, when you look at these images and juxtaposing it, Ankit will show you, there are high-rise buildings. This is a scathing picture and the reality of Gurugram, really, you know, where you have high rises, people spending money, buying homes here in posh localities. And just next to that, if there is no deployment from the police, there's no security that the administration can provide, paints a very scary picture for a city that holds a lot of MNCs, multinational companies and expatriate crowds, you know, in this particular area as well. And that's why perhaps the Gurugram police is on a back foot since yesterday and today as well. Okay. What the police has said that they have to be on guard and deployments will be done all around Gurugram, and Section 144 will continue to be imposed in sensitive areas.
Okay, so prohibitory orders remain in place, as Milind is reporting for us. It started off as clashes that broke out during a VHP rally that was going through some of the streets of Noo of Mewat. There was stone pelting reported, after which violence broke out, as a result of which mosques were vandalized and there were casualties, unfortunately, on both sides. We're going to continue tracking the latest on this. Milind and Shreya, thank you very much for joining us with your respective ground reports.